guy prefers to have more features in a console rather than performance, which is completely fine, and honestly I prefer that myself as well. Like, for example, he prefers the portability of a Nintendo Switch rather than the performance of a PS4 and an Xbox One, which is, completely fine. Even I'm like that. Except, on the other hand, he seems to be a bit of a Nintendo fanboy, and he somehow thinks that the Wii U has done better than the PS4 and Xbox One, even though that's obviously not the case.
It's amazing to me how no one wants to admit that the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X and the PSVR are failures.
Do you know the reason for that? It's because they're not. From the screenshot, you can obviously see that the PS4 has way better sales than even the Xbox One, and, well, definitely the Wii U.
It's just unbelievable to me, just the sheer amount of just non-interest from the community about how these new pieces of tech that were supposed to push the industry forward and were supposed to be huge major innovations in the industry have fallen flat on their face. In fact,
I wouldn't exactly say that. I mean, they weren't that innovative. It was basically just better hardware, even though it's still like it was like a 6-year-old hardware, I think, when it came out. It wasn't really that much of an upgrade. I mean, it was from the last generation, I think. I'm not entirely too sure. I didn't do research on this part. But I mean, what can they do next? They can add VR, but that's not really going anywhere, and probably won't for a while. And I don't think the PS4 and Xbox One would be powerful enough for, like, a full-fledged open-world VR game. That would be awesome if there was one. Is there one? I don't think there is just yet. That would be cool, but it wouldn't really work because of the way VR is at the moment. The next thing they could do is, well, probably just put Windows 10 onto their systems, which I know they won't do, but like that would open up so much modding opportunities. But what's the point? I mean, PCs already exist, and they're made by, actually, I think Sony already makes PCs anyway.
just the other day, I was reading articles about how VR is going to take off any day now, guys. You just have to wait a while. It's not going to happen.
I'm pretty sure VR will take off in the future. Maybe not sometime soon, but sometime when it starts to get a lot cheaper, I think it definitely will.
Known this for a long time. When VR takes off, it'll be because Nintendo put out their own VR headset with their own line of software, and it's going to be a huge deal. I could see it coming out by like the mid 2020s. It's being developed. I'm sure it's going to be released. I'm sure it's going to be a big deal. I'm sure.
It probably won't be made by Nintendo, I'm sure. It probably won't take off by 2020, I'm sure. It'd probably be more like, it'd probably be more on the PC, I'm sure. Probably be when VR is a ton cheaper, I'm sure. And probably when the PC parts you need for VR are cheaper, I'm sure. Yeah, I'll stop now. And probably when, oh crap, I had another idea. Another thing I was thinking of. Alright, when it becomes more developed. Because at the moment, like, if you put in a VR headset, you can oftentimes see each individual pixel, which is very annoying because of how close the screen is to your face. Well, at least from what I've heard. I've actually never put one on myself. So, I don't know, completely. But probably when it, like... Maybe not something like the HTC Vive where you can literally walk around, but something like, I remember seeing one in before. I don't know if it was a video on Facebook, or if it was in a dream, or where it was, but I've seen a thing where they, like, walked on this pad thing, and, like, this isn't going to be that descriptive, but, like, they walked, and the thing under them moved, so, like, they walked in the game, but they weren't exactly moving forward in real life. So, like, held in position. That's you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. I'll probably show you something on screen for it.
Refusal. It's amazing to me. I was just thinking, like, while I was in the shower, this kind of happens a lot. When the Wii U came out and didn't do well, right?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Did you just hear that? I did. I I think he just admitted that the Wii U didn't do well when it came out. I I I think he's now just contradicting the point of this video.
You had all these articles coming out like saying all this really weird, strange bullshit like no one wants to play games with two screens. The DS is one of the best-selling consoles of all time. Like I know people have like tried to justify this saying like, oh, the DS, nobody, those screens are attached. It's not the same thing. It is the same thing. Like the
I think the problem with the Wii U is that the screens are like really like they're not exactly close together. You know, like they're further away from each other. Like when you're playing on a DS, the screens are right next to each other. It's easy to easily switch between them both. But with the Wii U gamepad, unless you're holding it like up high in front of you, you basically have to move your head every time you want to look back at the TV or at the Wii U gamepad. But when it comes to two screens for PC gaming, oh, that is awesome. Especially if they're both 4K screens and 240 hertz. Oh, it makes me orgasm. But yeah, I think with the screens being so far away from each other, it kind of breaks the immersion a bit. I mean, it's definitely innovative, and I even like it, but it breaks the immersion. Well, it does for me at least.
Wii U is really nothing more than the DS with you know with a game console focus instead of like a portable one, and it worked really well. The Wii U was the selling console, best selling console. The overall best console of the past 5 years. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Well then, he he says that it's the best-selling console for a sec, but then he realizes that he'd probably get attacked for saying that because it's false. That's obviously false. Then he says it's the best console, which I mean that's his opinion. It's hard to say it's the best, especially how weak the hardware is in it. I think it's good, but I definitely wouldn't say it's the best. In fact, I don't know about the best console. Maybe the PS2 might be my favorite, because that was my first console. But I mean, the best platform I like to play on is definitely the PC, I must say.
Fantastic piece of hardware. I can't say the same about PS4 Pro or Xbox One X. Like those consoles have no reason to exist. And in fact, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, those consoles will just, no one will care about them. Like they won't have any historical significance at all. They're just going to sort of like just sort of have existed at one point. And
I think the whole of humanity is going to be pretty much like that at one point. Just a thing that existed, but didn't end up doing too much. I mean, we kind of did. We're fucking up our worth. That's one thing.
no one's going to care about them at all. And like nobody cares about them now. Like unlike the Wii U, which 20 years from now, you're going to see people like Wii U is going to become a collector's item because of its like unique history and just the weird time in which it came out and like the great games that are on it. It's going to be like desirable 20 years from now. Nintendo fans are going to like treat it like the Virtual Boy or the
There's quite a lot of people who care about the PS4 and Xbox One. In fact, some of them go a little too far. Have you seen some of the PS4 and Xbox One fanboys? It gets insane. And if people are going to treat the Wii U like the Virtual Boy, well, that means they're going to hate it. Because the Virtual Boy was awful, an awful attempt at VR. And if you're saying the Nintendo fans are going to treat it like that, then, well, why are you trying to defend the Wii U?
reader is just going to be an interesting piece of Nintendo history. It's going to come back eventually. The Wii U is going to like get its dues eventually. Like it was not a bad platform, but the Xbox One and PS4, those are bad platforms, especially since they're not really doing anything. Like
It's not exactly that they're bad platforms, it's just that you prefer features over performance.
never hear people talk about it. Like you never hear anyone say anything bad about Sony at all, even in this day and age where they're putting out shit like the Ghostbusters remake or the Emojis movie, reboot, I'm sorry, the Ghostbusters reboot, and the Emoji movie, and just, Knack 2.
I really must question what kind of rock are you living under? Have you never seen, like, any kind of reviews? The Sony products have been hated on before, and especially the Emoji Movie, especially that. You're going on saying that no one seems to be hating on it, but it is. Like, if you look up reviews, it's basically like the very worst score review you can get, literally. And I've literally only found two people out of, and I know a shit ton, that have liked it. Only two. And those that I found was only like one out of like about 100 people, I think, about that in person. And another one was like on a group with like 80 people, I think, around that. Other than that, I haven't found anyone else who have liked the Emoji Movie.
Marvel versus Capcom April. That wasn't a Sony exclusive. Like Street Fighter V, like nobody is really addressing the fact that Sony is going downhill. It's just amazing to me just how nobody refuses to admit that the quality has been going down for decades now, since like the 90s. Like
I liked how this video went from hating on PS4 and Xbox One to just hating on Sony movies now. Like really. And I don't know if Sony has been on a downhill. I'm really not too sure about that. It's more down to personal preference, I would say. Like, do you have any kind of proof to say that it's downhill, going downhill?
I am like I know this may seem like weird considering like how big of a Nintendo fan I am and how I'm like really notorious for criticizing Sony in particular, but I really do like the original PlayStation.
Original PlayStation was actually pretty good. I haven't really played on one myself, but from what I've seen, it was pretty good for its time. I love the PS2. I have one. It was my first console. But I mean, I'd still say that gaming on the PC is better. Maybe back then, I don't know if the big AAA games were on PC as much. Were they? I'm not entirely too sure. I mean, I wasn't around then. But like, as soon as the games actually, did they just start coming out on PC as soon as the AAA games came out? Yeah, I shouldn't be commenting on this because I wasn't even alive around this time. I mean, I was around the PS2, but even then I'm not sure because I didn't get into PC gaming until, like, not too long ago. I mean, technically, PC was the first platform I gamed on, but, like, I never really played many, well, I mean, in all honesty, I didn't play many games on it other than Train Simulator. That's quite depressing, isn't it?
But it's been slowly going downhill, actually, pretty quickly since the PS2 days.
You say it's been going downhill since the PS2 days, which definitely the sales now are lower than what the PS2 was, but it's still the highest selling console compared to Xbox and the Wii U. So, what are you trying to say? Exactly? I mean, aren't you trying to defend the Wii U? It's still one of the best selling consoles. Not the best. I'm saying it's the best selling. I'm meaning of the current generation, like the PS4, Xbox One, and the Wii U. I'm not trying to say it's the best selling out of all time. Just out of this current generation, out of these three consoles. For this next part in the video, I'm not going to show it because it honestly went on for a bit too long, but he's basically saying that Final Fantasy is really, the newer ones are really bad, and trying to say that Sony is bad now. Even though Final Fantasy isn't even made by Sony. This doesn't make much sense, actually.
Nobody wants to admit just how bad a lot, like games like Final Fantasy 12 are. Like, just like how nobody is admitting how bad Final Fantasy 15 is. Because it's not a Nintendo game, and you can't criticize games that aren't Nintendo games. It just.
What kind of rock have you been living under? Like, seriously, have you never seen Final Fantasy be criticized before? There's people who don't like Final Fantasy, there's people who don't like Sony. Have you never seen that before? And it's pretty obvious how much of a Nintendo fanboy you are when you don't know this, but yeah, people. Well, I don't know if you haven't been naming people, but you seem to know people who criticize Nintendo and Nintendo games, but you've never seen anything else be criticized. Like you haven't seen Microsoft or Sony be criticized. They're criticized as much as Nintendo, possibly more, possibly less, maybe. Probably about the same, I think.
Baffles me how games like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 get slammed critically for having like sexy character designs or whatever, and stuff like shit. I'm sure Final Fantasy 15 has sexy women in it. Oh yeah, like yeah, Cindy. They had like the Sid's granddaughter, like
I feel like this guy has been watching reviews from feminists.
really positively received, in spite of the fact that it is a piece of shit and needs to see a Switch release.
If it does come out on the Switch, then you'll probably be disappointed to see that the game reviews overall would probably be basically the exact same.
PS4 isn't nearly as successful as people want to think it is. Like people are buying it because they thought it was going to be like the next big thing, but it wasn't. It's just more of the same. And
I kind of agree with what he's saying right now. They're like, in the future, they're probably either just going to be like making the PS4 more powerful over and over again, or they might end up doing like the game streaming thing where the games are actually being played on their servers, but you just use this box to like play the game and you're streaming it, which would be really cool. Like you just get a really cheap box, probably still have the $60 subscription, or maybe even more expensive. That would be awful. But like, it'd be cool if you could if they made a service where like you got unlimited games that you could play streamed for like just $60 or a month, or but it'd probably be more than $60 though, to be honest. But with the way Sony and Microsoft are, I'm pretty sure that would happen. It'd be more expensive than 60. That would be horrible. But a service like that would actually be pretty cool, and I would like it. Nvidia, I'm pretty sure have already started pretty much doing it, from what I know. I think it's called Nvidia Experience, something like that. But basically, the games are being played on their servers, but it's being streamed to you, and you're like streaming what you're doing like on the keyboard and mouse to them. So like you could basically play games on the highest graphic settings with a pretty crappy PC. It's actually pretty cool.
but Switch is something new and exciting, and I think that's going to catapult it past like PS2 sales and like make it the best selling console ever made.
It might happen, but with more gamers on PC now, I kind of doubt it.
And like with stuff like the mobile division doing well, Amiibo doing well, like the 3DS continuing to do well, like Nintendo's going to do like really really well in the next decade. Like Switch was the perfect setup for that, and that was only possible because of Wii U, by the way.
I wouldn't say it was only possible because of the Wii U. I mean, if they came out with a console better than what the Wii U was, then they'll be in a better position than what they are now. I mean, I'm not saying they're in a bad position, but I mean, they're in a good position at the moment with the Switch, but they'll be in a better position if the Wii U was really good. You know, not as bad as it was with the hardware, I think.
It's possible they could stomp out Sony for good because Sony really has nothing going for them. Like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Like, they can't put out another handheld because they'll have to compete directly with the Switch, which has a head start. They can't keep supporting the PS4 because it has no momentum.
Well, I mean, they could stream the games. Not too sure how successful it would be, but I think it's a good idea. But after that, after they do game streaming, I'm really not too sure myself, even.
Like the sales chart, like PS4 did well because it has FIFA and Call of Duty. That's it. That's all a lot of people want to play, and that's fine. It really is. But really, those games should be on Switch. There's no reason for them not to be. And in fact, they're probably better off on Switch because you can do different things with them. Like I could play zombies with my buddy while I'm on a bus or something.
I'm pretty sure Call of Duty would come out on the Switch since it's come out on the Wii and even the Wii U. They've put out a lot of those for those two consoles. But that would be awesome. Like while you're out, you're waiting for something, you could be playing COD with one of your friends. It'd be awesome. I still think playing it on PC at home would be better though, because you can get better performance, better graphics if you care about that. I care more about the performance and also the accuracy of a mouse, which is what I want the most. It's awesome.
Like, Switch gives you those kind of opportunities. And once people start realizing that, there's going to be more and more demand for these games to be ported en masse to Switch. There is no reason for the PS4 to be, a thing anymore. It is outdated. It is pointless.
I actually kind of agree with him here. Like for the Switch, if you like it, that's actually pretty cool because it's really portable. For a PS4, I honestly don't understand as much because you get worse performance, worse graphics, and also not as much accuracy with those tiny little thumbsticks. You get more accuracy with a mouse. It's a lot better. I'm not saying it's bad if you like the PS4, but I'm just saying if you're wanting to do more, I guess if you want a better experience, it's better to go on PC.
It has always been a piece of shit. It's okay. I went off on a tangent here. I was supposed to be talking about the PS4 Pro and Xbox One, but this ties back into it, I swear. The point is that the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, I keep struggling saying those names because they're kind of stupid. They have no reason to exist. They did not fix the core problem with these consoles is that they don't really offer anything that people haven't already seen before. Like,
This guy hasn't really been like referring to PC at all in this video. In fact, he doesn't. But like, if he did, it would make a lot more sense. But I'm pretty sure he doesn't like PC at all. Well, I mean, he might a bit, maybe. I mean, he'd be using one to record this video, but he's a Nintendo fanboy, so I'm not too sure. But it's kind of true. The PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, they had performance increases. It was pretty cool, but we've seen the exact same thing on PC, and we can get pretty much around the same performance for around the same price. So I mean, it has been seen before.
who nobody really cares about better visuals. Like it became sort of a thing with like the PS3 and Xbox 360 because they were so much better than the Wii, and that was like the major selling point and why like developers made these excuses not to support the Nintendo hardware, even though it was the most successful even then.
Oh, so no one cares about graphics, you say? No one cares about games looking realistic? No one cares about games looking like almost pretty much real life? No one cares. Like you were talking about VR before. Do you want to put on a VR headset and have a game look on the same level or even worse than what it's like on the Nintendo 64? Like, do you want those kind of graphics in VR? Well, it doesn't make much sense. For VR, you'd want something really realistic. Otherwise, it wouldn't. It honestly, it might even be sickening to look at through a headset. I'm not entirely too sure, but it might be.
Um, Better visuals aren't going to sell you games, and I think PS4 Pro and Xbox One's like X's, the Xbox One X is declining, terrible, abysmal, worse than Wii U sales, I'm sure, really cement that fact that nobody really cares about resolution or, you know, better visuals.
Yeah, no one cares about better visuals, no one cares about those graphics, no one cares about those higher frame rates and resolutions. Well, you never see anyone talking about them. Like, go on YouTube, search up something like PS4 performance, you get like no results at all. You find no one talking about it. Like, it's really not that significant.
It's entirely if the consoles don't offer anything interesting or unique, people aren't going to get excited about them. And no one, and I repeat, no one is getting excited about the PS4 Pro or Xbox One X. Like who? Okay, no one is getting excited for these platforms.
Well, to be honest, graphics kind of does sell the consoles actually. Although to be honest, I don't think it's I don't really get it as much because you can get way better graphics on a PC. Even with something just like a GTX 1050, you can get amazing graphics compared to I don't know about the Xbox One X. Probably might be on par. I haven't like read up about the Xbox One X or seen much of it just yet. I haven't seen much of the performance of it, but I'm certain that a setup with two GTX 1080 Ti's would be way better than what that is. Probably way better than what any console would ever be. I didn't say that, not at all. It's also obvious this guy does like no research. He's now saying that no one gets excited for Xbox and PS4. Although, did he say PS4 as well? It doesn't matter. He's saying that no one gets excited for them. Like, if you just like you don't even have to do that much research at all. Like, type in Xbox One or X or PS4 Pro on YouTube, or even just the originals on YouTube, and you'll find tons of people getting excited over it. That seriously, it's not that hard. Oh my gosh. Anyway, the video ends abruptly here. For some reason, it's like ends really abruptly. Like wasn't expecting it to end while I was watching it, but it ends there, and well, we have someone who doesn't seem to know that much about even consoles, even though he's a console fanboy. Well then, I'll see you in the next video. But I mean, but, ah, damn it.